In this video, we're going into the two different flavors of extroverted feeling, the analytic and holistic side, based off Dario Nardi's work, Decode Your Personality, Go Beyond Myers-Briggs with 64 brain-based subtypes. This video will give you a clear understanding of the two different variations of extroverted feeling so that you can understand it more within yourself and within other people, and so that you get beyond the stereotypical understanding of the cognitive functions that comes out a lot in memes and other unhelpful variations. As an INFP myself, extroverted feeling is my fifth function. It has this kind of rival-like energy, and I'm going to clarify my understanding of it as we go through, and hopefully I can understand as well which version of it that I like and which I maybe have a little bit of a struggle with, and then I can bridge those gaps and have a better team fellowship of 8, questing party of 8 different parts of myself, different cognitive functions personified, working together in all the quests in my life. Extroverted feeling, FE. Extroverted feeling, FE, is often portrayed one way, especially in type literature. In contrast, people who report FE preferences often don't behave so stereotypically. In fact, they may easily behave in the opposite way, specifically the idealized FE user as a paragon of empathy, friendliness, and self-efficacy support. But they aren't necessarily like that. Firstly, someone who knows how to be super agreeable, just lovely in fact, also knows how to be nasty, even cruel. That's no surprise. Every function has a dark use. The main point is that, yes, FE users can be compliant, but they can also be strong, dominant leaders. So what's going on? The answer is analytic, yang, versus holistic, yin versions of FE. I think this is really important to point out that just because you are an extroverted feeler does not mean that you are all about empathy and supporting other people, and especially every other person. There are clear groups that extroverted feelers use and create within their mind. They're like segmenting different populations, different groups, people, community, so that they know how to interact with them. And with that comes a lot of the need to alter behavior to fit within what is expected or what should be done in relation to other people. I see extroverted feeling as a function that often is seen as Dario Nardi said here, this benevolent character. Within my RPG model, I call it the unifying envoy, and it is proactively supporting other people as well as an ambassador, understanding the different cultures, the different vibes, the different necessities that other people have, and meeting their needs, but also understanding the alliance meter. If you play any RPGs, you can understand like there's all the different factions, and then you have how friendly you are with them, how friendly they are with you, and the other relationships as well, the other alliances as well. And extroverted feelers have this clear view of that. How are people getting along? How are they feuding? And with that comes, as a decision-making function, as a judging function, what should I do in relation to that? So let's continue. Analytic Yang FE, the shepherd. This is an active, focused, fixed, analytic version of FE, life's shepherds. They're the person, especially if it's their dominant function, who radiates an aura or field of needs and values, their own or society's as they define them. And they announce those. They voice those given suitable opportunities, and they prescribe those values. That is, when they notice people who are not going with the vibe, the value, they will do their best to corral those outliers and encourage them to join the group, to behave according to some standard of values and society, to behave according to some standard of values and socially relevant behaviors for their own and everyone's good. So right off the bat, you get this extroverted feeling type who knows what they want or knows what people should want and communicates that, and is a leader in that sense. This is what we need to do. This is what's right. This is what we should do. This is what you should do. And here's how it's going to happen. I call the extroverted thinking and extroverted feeling group as controllers. So they are seeking control in the environment or creating control. And for extroverted thinking, it's mainly control over logistics and objectives, impersonal pursuits. And for extroverted feeling, it's mainly this other side of how do we control the people's response, the culture, and make sure that everybody's doing the right thing. When these FE users see problems in a relationship, they take an active role. They easily speak diplomatic language, as in, let's sit down and talk with each other, shall we? And underlying this is a desire to fix the relationship and maybe heal the person based in a matrix of needs and values that feels very rational to them. Likely, they'll genuinely strive to find a win-win result. But the fact is that they hold certain values, and the other person needs to understand and honor those. So coming from an introverted feeler, it's really interesting to hear extroverted feeling be explained because, I have my values that are really important to me, and usually I don't communicate those. Usually they're my own, right? And I assume that everybody else has their own values, and as long as it's not hurting anybody else, not hurting like shepherding, then go do you. It's okay to do whatever you want to do and have your own niche interests as long as it's not hurting anybody else. And another facet would be if they step on one of my deeply held values, then it becomes necessary to either communicate or move myself to another location. One might call it running away. I call it moving myself to another location. Finding better people to surround myself with. These FE users can be really inspiring orators and shepherds in any kind of environment. In an organization, they will help everyone be aware of the organization's values and to get in sync or against as best they can. A church pastor is an obvious example. The extreme is cult-like. Mostly they're inspiring, advising, corralling, and shepherding. Of course, there will be some black sheep around who don't want to be brought into the pen. This is where maturity versus one-sidedness comes in. Oh man, that's such an important point that a lot of people don't really focus on is the maturity, the health of a person and their use of the cognitive function. You can have any sort of reaction or any sort of good or bad people, no matter what type they are. Unfortunately, some types get bad raps and they get focused on for the negative things that they do, and other types get praised for all the positive things, but people are overlooking the other sides of it. And a lot of that comes in through maturity as well as just the social sphere, what is highlighted for personality type in general. Ultimately, there's an underlying assumption or drive that if everyone joins arms in mutual agreement, consideration, and cooperation, aligning and honoring values and behaviors, then any and all problems can be solved. Along the way, to help make this happen, they willingly make sacrifices. They can make huge personal sacrifices, and they ask, or at least hope, that others sacrifice too. That is one of the cool things of extroverted feelers from my experiences. Maybe I just know a lot of analytic FE users, but the personal sacrifice, the give and give and give without getting anything back, hoping that other people will give stuff back, probably, but they give so much. They put so much of their energy into supporting other people. My mother-in-law is an ESFJ, and she is always on. She's always moving, always doing something, and usually it's to support the family, whether it's cooking or cleaning or going out shopping to buy something for us, creating little gifts, going on a vacation with us. Like, there's so many things that she just does, and she's always focused on the interpersonal dynamics of the family, and I'm sure she's the same at work and within other mini cultures that she experiences. Holistic Yin FE, the host. The holistic FE user is like a friendly B&B host. The person goes around tending to others' needs. They are particularly empathetic, feeling what others are feeling, And at the same time, they are also highly sensitive to the nuances of social interactions, the meanings and possible impact of their words. So they tend to tread lightly and not push or embarrass others. Alas, to no surprise, at the end of the day, or after 20 years, they may lament that they didn't get many of their own needs met. So, like I was just talking about, that self-sacrificing extroverted feeling aspect is apparently shown in both of these different versions, which makes sense. It's just a matter of like, how many skill points do you put into each of these different facets? And it makes me really sad when I read things like, at the end of the day or after 20 years, they may lament that they didn't get their own needs met. As an INFP, like, sure, I'd love to help and care for other people, but if I'm not getting my needs met, um, things start to get really uncomfortable inside. I can push it off for a while, but eventually, like, I need to just go do something by myself, go appease one of my habits, my hobbies that I like, and my creative muse, right? If I don't do that, then I go crazy with it because introverted feeling is the dominant function and it's what rejuvenates me. I have to follow that. But for extroverted feeling, um, what rejuvenates them is likely peopling and making sure that, other groups are getting well together, meeting their needs, supporting them, also working on interpersonal dynamics and the interplay between people. But if you're so focused on that, then you're not focused on yourself because that's the other side of the coin, right? And so that could create a lot of regret, I think, later on in life. Hopefully not. Hopefully it's like, I raised a great family. And that's good. That's an amazing thing. But hopefully it's appreciated and accepted. Like analytic FE, holistic FE can be self-sacrificing, but that tends to be in many small ways rather than in one big way. Imagine all the little sacrifices that they make daily as a coworker, friend, parent, spouse, and so on. In these cases, we may call them a caretaker or host or hostess, and they're holding space as well as hosting in a space. Holding space generally means being present, attentive, but not interfering, ready to help if asked. Imagine living a whole life holding space for others. Holding space can also mean you don't need to do much for yourself. The years go by, and helping others is an excuse not to step up to one's own potential and be more active. So let's say that at its best, Yin FE is hosting a space for a time. My wife is an ENFJ, and this sounds more like her style of little sacrifices. She's also constantly moving, constantly supporting, but it's not a full-on exhaustion of herself all the time. And now sometimes it does get to that point, and sometimes she needs to stop and refill herself, as I always tell her. But it's not like that, like full-on energy that my mother-in-law does of just like constantly going and pushing herself, I think, to support the family more. I believe she's also an Enneagram 2, whereas I think my wife is a 7, which is quite interesting. Let's touch on sensitivity again. Holistic FE is alert to nuances of social approval. Yep, that sounds very clearly like my wife. Someone says superficially nice. Was that genuine? An underhanded compliment? Or perhaps a joke? And has someone remembered an important day, such as an anniversary, or kept in mind a small detail about one's life, knowing you are sensitive to it, even though other people normally wouldn't be? Unlike analytic FE, which foments one big drama. I don't even know the word foment. Holistic FE can find itself caught up in numerous tiny dramas. I'm horrible with details about other people, and myself too. I probably couldn't describe what I look like to another person, besides big eyebrows. What I do know is that my wife knows everything about all of us. She's very good at that. It's being brought into holistic FE here. It's like, it's important to know all the data points on every person. And with that, then you can support other people better if that's your goal. And I hate drama. Hate all drama. These two sides tend to look a bit different from the outside. The more assertive FE has a right way for everyone to behave, socially and interpersonally. That can be a bit imposing. In contrast, Yin FE is more accepting. And note the words imposing versus accepting. Definitely to me, imposing is not a trait that I would like to be attached to my name. Not that it's bad, but as my personality type, I generally wouldn't want to be imposing. I do see the necessity to have all these different variations and have people that are willing to step up and assert themselves and assert what is right, or what is best. And if we don't have that, then everybody is doing their own separate thing, and likely the system doesn't work. The culture doesn't work. The society doesn't work because everybody is so focused on their own individual world. And that is one of the difficult things with introverted feeling, because I'm like, I know I need extroverted thinking. I know I need the organization. We need these rules and structures in daily life and in society. And yet, I don't like it. There's a natural push against it. And so with extroverted feeling as well, within a person, I have all these different parts. I have all these different characters that are working together, and I want them all to just hold hands and work together. Come on, guys. Like the part of me that wants to go to the gym, the part of me that wants to relax and play some games, part of me that wants to do YouTube, like all of these different parts, they just need to want to work together individually so that everything works out. And within society, if you extrapolate that out into the world, it doesn't work. It's not going to happen. You need some key character or part to wrangle them, to shepherd them. When it comes to understanding FE, the social justice movement is a great example. For those who prefer FE, in particular for ESFJ and ENFJ, analytic FE is about getting people in line with the appropriate language, behavior, and values. They go big. They may say, excuse little us for imposing on everyone, but while coming across as autocratic. In contrast, holistic FE is so sensitive to others' different needs and viewpoints that they shift to allow space and adapt in various situations, making allowances in a very democratic way. They stay local, and remember everyone does have some measure of FE, more or less consciously, so this range of behaviors applies to anyone. And of course, social justice is simply one example. There are FE users in all corners of the political landscape. It sounds like for all of these different functions, the analytic one is the go big. It's just like putting all of its energy into a core couple different pieces. Whereas the holistic is more diffused across many different interests, which makes perfect sense. And you can see why they are both necessary. Stay local, make sure that everybody in this close-knit community is doing well as go big and make sure the larger community, the world, is doing well. And I love that he mentions within pretty much every section that everyone does some measure of this. You have all 8 of these cognitive functions and you use all 8 of them. The problem comes when you deny that, when you push it away as not me or other. And then you demonize it. You add baggage to it. Instead of accepting that you got it too. You got this character, this unifying envoy character within you. And it's time to make amends with it. And it's time to give it the XP that it needs, gear it out, make sure that it's on the right quest, and support that part of yourself so that then you can accept it within other people too. It is one of the biggest game changers that I've had with this blend of self-development is self-acceptance and then accepting others for their weaknesses and appreciating their strengths too. Analytic versus holistic FE is not about strong and hard versus weak and soft. Usually, holistic FE is not just some weakling who accommodates whatever others want. That is a movie trope. Rather, they really enjoy their friendships and close relationships, nurturing those and being a part of their community, their family, their friends, and their coworkers. They value harmony and the joys that harmony brings over being right. In contrast, analytic FE focuses on being right in terms of values and feelings and needs. And even when that FE user feels, I have the wrong value, I need to feel differently, it's still about figuring out what's right and sharing that. I think that's a clear distinction of host FE, is that they value harmony and the joys that harmony brings over being right. And that definitely makes it sound like within me, host FE is the one that is more developed. Another telltale differentiator: is an FE user the same in every social situation, or does the person shift? Analytic FE tends to remain the same in terms of values and behaviors. Their agenda is clear to all, and in general, they are far more talkative, even taking the soapbox. They feel if only everyone paid fuller attention to each other, then we could solve humanity's problems. So true. In contrast, holistic FE feels, for example, that my grandmother has these needs and I relate to her on her terms, and that other people in my life, like my neighbor or my boss, have different values from me, and that's okay. They ask, how can we live in simple harmony even though we all have different values? That's kind of breaking my brain a little bit, because I see they feel if everyone only paid fuller attention to each other, then we could solve humanity's problems. Plus, how can we live in simple harmony even though we all have different values? So if everyone paid attention to each other, despite having different values, then we could live in harmony. Doesn't that sound like they both, they meet the same ends? My dad is also an ESFJ, and he mentioned before that he feels like a social chameleon. So that's the thing. Finally, analytic FE can look a lot like thinking. These folks have strong organizational skills, value reason, can offer detailed logic, and in general, consciously experience feeling on an intellectual or even academic level, rather than on an emotional or sense level like holistic FE typically does. However, both versions are still feeling. Remember, FE is about both the tribe's values and also the tribe's logic. I think that's really interesting that they would experience feeling on an intellectual or academic level. My ENFJ friend, he's one of my best friends, definitely feels more like this analytic side. He's extremely intellectual and not emotional in that sense, but he is very attuned to the movements of individuals and how people interact with each other. And he's so aware of it as well, like many extroverted feelers, like he will blush or he will like notice that people are noticing him. And he goes through this cycle of, being overly self-aware. My wife does this all the time too. So I hear about it quite often from extroverted feelers, of noticing the attention that is being placed on them and how other people are likely perceiving them, and what that means about them as a person and what the other person's thinking, and then what the relationship will emerge into from there. It's really a fascinating function. So what are your perspectives on the two different versions of extroverted feeling, the analytic shepherd side and the holistic host side? Which one of them do you notice more in your life? Which one do you appreciate more or less? And what are you going to do about it? Something to think about, because if you know that you are more host and you are less shepherd, then that gives you a chance to develop the shepherd or to lean into the host even more. Generally, within work, career, those kind of pursuits, I would suggest leaning into your strengths, because the world will honor you for, leaning into your strengths and providing value with those. And in self-development, work on some of your weaknesses so it's not leaking, it's not wasting time and energy and focus, emotions by pouring it into something that is a weakness. So you can manage it better. You can improve it. You can give it some XP. Give your other character a little bit of XP, spend some time developing it. Do some self-hypnosis to work on that part of yourself. Or do practical exercises like practice hosting a party, practice reading people and, perceiving the vibes that are going on between people and then getting feedback on it, checking to see if you were correct. And if you're curious for more on how you can use these cognitive functions, go to poha.geekpsychology.com. That's Path of Heroes Academy. It will help you understand these different parts of yourself and brings in real life missions as well as character creation, that you can create a character and you can have interactions with it that's guided through the Path of Heroes Academy on how to do that. And you can wake up feeling better about these different parts of yourself because you have this holistic team, your council of eight, these eight different personality types and perspectives that you can use for problem solving, for self-development, and in any other aspect of your life. It is quite mind-blowing. This is something that I have taken from many different sources and fused together. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, NLP, neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, cognitive functions, parts work, story, character development. It's all mashed in there. It's all fit in there like a beautiful puzzle, and it will help you understand yourself and others better. And it's a lifelong lesson. Like, it will last you for the rest of your life because it's a paradigm shift. If you're interested in that, again, I would love to see you at poha.geekpsychology.com. Join Path of Heroes Academy. And if you're not ready yet, you can check out this video over here and learn more about introverted feeling and the two different blends of it. And maybe over here, I'll have introverted thinking coming up soon if it's not there yet. Good luck, have fun. Peace.